In the quiet confidence of a master teacher, Abdullah recounts the 5-year journey of mentoring a young Neville Goddard. This is not a story of complex philosophy, but of the profound struggle to accept a singular, life-altering truth. Here is the essence of that transformative teaching. I trained Neville Goddard for 5 years on one principle. 5 years. Not because the principle was complicated, but because the human mind refuses to accept what seems too simple to be true. When Neville first came to me in 1931, he already knew too much. He had studied, he had practiced techniques, he had read the books, and yet he was struggling. Because knowing about consciousness and being conscious of what you are doing are two entirely different things. The principle I taught him was ancient, older than any scripture, older than any religion. It has been whispered through mystery schools for thousands of years. The world is a mirror. It reflects nothing but your own consciousness. That is the entire teaching. The world you see is consciousness reflected back to you. Nothing outside of you has power. Everything you experience is your own wonderful, full human imagination pushed out into visibility. Most people hear this and wait for more. There is no more. But understanding it with your mind and mastering it with your being are separated by years of practice. This is what took Neville 5 years to fully grasp. Not because I wanted him to struggle for 5 years, but because consciousness transformation cannot be rushed. Let me share with you what I taught him. Not so you struggle for 5 years, but so you understand what true mastery requires. The mirror code is this: you do not see the world as it is. You see the world as you are. Everything you behold, you are beholding yourself. Every person who appears in your life is showing you a reflection of your own consciousness. Every circumstance that unfolds is your inner assumptions made visible. This is not poetry. This is the mechanical law by which all creation occurs. When you look at your world and see problems, you are not seeing problems out there. You are seeing your own inner conversations, your own assumptions, your own self-concept reflected back to you in the mirror of reality. Change what you see in the mirror? Impossible. The mirror only reflects. Change the face looking into the mirror. Now the reflection must change. It has no choice. This is what I taught Neville for 5 years. How to change the face. How to change consciousness itself. How to stop trying to rearrange the reflection and instead transform the one who is being reflected. The ancient Hermetic text declares, as within, so without. This is not mystical poetry. This is the exact mechanism by which your world is formed. Your inner state is the cause. Your outer world is the effect. Always, without exception. Most people live their entire lives trying to change effects while leaving the cause untouched. They try to get more money while maintaining poverty consciousness. They try to find love while feeling unworthy. They try to achieve success while assuming failure. This is like standing in front of a mirror frowning and demanding that the reflection smile first. The reflection cannot smile until you smile. The mirror cannot show you wealth until you are wealth in consciousness. The world cannot give you what you refuse to give yourself. Neville once documented a case in The Law and the Promise about a woman who understood this principle perfectly. She owned a piece of property with tenants who were not maintaining it. The yard was neglected, payments were irregular, the whole situation caused her tremendous stress. Every time she thought about the property, she felt anger. She imagined confronting them. She rehearsed legal proceedings in her mind. She saw herself as a victim. But then she applied the mirror code. If these tenants were in her world, they were reflecting something in her consciousness. They were her own assumptions pushed out. So instead of trying to change them, she changed self. Every night before sleep, she revised the entire situation. In her imagination, she saw the property beautifully maintained. She saw the yard neat and cared for. She felt the satisfaction of tenants who took pride in their home. She did this faithfully, night after night, refusing to return to her old mental patterns. And then something remarkable happened. The woman tenant had an automobile accident. While she was in the hospital, her husband disappeared. But instead of creating more problems shortly after leaving the hospital, the woman reappeared with a wedding certificate and a new husband. This new husband immediately began improving the property. All payments came right up to date. A room was even added. The landlord's problem was solved, but not by forcing, threatening, or manipulating the outer world. By changing her inner world, the outer world had no choice but to conform. This is the mirror code in action. Now, some of you are thinking, but Abdullah, what about things that happened to me that I didn't consciously create? What about difficulties I never imagined? This brings you to the deeper level of the mirror code, the level that takes years to fully accept. Everything in your world is you pushed out, not some things, everything. The people who love you are showing you the love in your consciousness. The people who reject you are showing you the rejection you hold toward yourself. The opportunities that appear are showing you the possibilities you have accepted. The doors that close are showing you the limitations you have assumed. Your entire world exists inside your consciousness. What appears outside is only the reflection, the shadow, the effect of what is already established within. Now, let me show you something that proves consciousness is not limited by space or time or physical proximity. Neville once shared a story about a doctor in New York who had developed growths on his face. Tests revealed they might be malignant. Then he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which doctors told him was incurable. A friend of this doctor wrote to Neville asking if he could help from 3,000 miles away in California. Most people would say this is impossible. How can you help someone 3,000 miles away? But consciousness knows no distance. There is no separation except in the world of appearances. Neville brought the doctor into his imagination. He placed his imaginary hand on the doctor's face and felt only smooth skin, no lumps, no growths. Then he walked with the doctor in imagination, and the doctor walked perfectly. No trembling, no stumbling. That is all Neville did. Weeks later, a letter came. The lumps on the doctor's face had disappeared. The shaking from Parkinson's had stopped. The doctor had returned to his office, functioning normally. The world is a mirror, and that mirror reflects consciousness, not physical proximity. When you change your consciousness about another person, when you see them as whole and well and perfect, the mirror must reflect that back. This is why I taught Neville that there is no one to change but self. You cannot change another person directly, but you can change your consciousness of them. And when you do, they must appear changed in your world. This principle causes struggle because it demands something most people refuse to give: complete responsibility. Not for what you think you caused, for everything. The person who mistreats you, you drew them through your consciousness. The money that is lacking, your poverty consciousness created it. The health that fails, your inner conversations about weakness manifested it. This sounds harsh until you realize what it actually means. If you created it all, you can change it all. You are not a victim of the world. You are the creator of the world you experience. And when you truly accept this, something extraordinary happens. You stop feeling powerless. You stop waiting for rescue. You stop blaming circumstances. You recognize that you have had the power all along. You just did not know you were using it to create what you did not want. Now you can use it deliberately. This is what took Neville 5 years to master. Not the intellectual understanding, but the lived experience. The moment-to-moment practice of watching his inner conversations, observing his assumptions, catching himself in states of lack or fear or resentment, and consciously choosing to occupy different states: states of abundance, states of love, states of confidence and fulfillment. And as he changed his inner states, his outer world transformed to match. Most people fail at this work because they try to change their outer world while maintaining their inner state. They affirm abundance while feeling poor. They visualize success while assuming failure. They imagine love while feeling unworthy. The mirror does not respond to your words. The mirror does not respond to your actions. The mirror responds only to your state of consciousness. What are you conscious of being? That is what the mirror must reflect. Now, I want to share something with you that will help you apply this immediately. But first, let me show you how this mirror code works in ways that will astonish you. Neville documented in The Law and the Promise a case of a woman who wanted to paint and redecorate her old home, but she had no money. The work would cost thousands. She understood the mirror code, so she went to work in imagination. She walked through her home as if it were already freshly painted. She admired the new furnishings in her mind. At the end of each imaginal act, she handed an imaginary contractor a check for payment in full. She lived in the assumption that the work was already done. Within 2 weeks, she received a registered letter from Lloyd's of London informing her that she had inherited $7,000 from a woman she had never met. The money appeared from a source she could never have predicted. Because consciousness is not limited to the channels your rational mind can see. When you change your inner state, the entire universe reorganizes itself to reflect that state back to you. But here is what most people miss, and this is what took Neville the longest to fully grasp. You cannot change the mirror by fighting with the reflection. A woman went to a restaurant and saw beautiful rose-colored water glasses. She asked to buy them. She was told it was impossible. The buyer was unpleasant and the supply was limited. She understood the mirror code. She went home and every day saw those 8 glasses on her own table as already hers. 1 month later, she returned. A new hostess appeared, carrying a box. Inside were not 8 glasses, but 16 given to her as a gift. The woman did not change the buyer. She did not convince the restaurant. She changed her own consciousness. She assumed the glasses were hers, and reality had no choice but to conform. When you stop fighting the reflection and change the consciousness looking into the mirror, reality rearranges itself in ways your rational mind cannot predict. The bridge of incidents appears. The seeming obstacles vanish. Now, there are 2 ways people waste their entire lives. The first is trying to change others. This is futile because you cannot change the reflection. You can only change yourself. The second is waiting for circumstances to change before you change your state. Waiting to feel wealthy until money appears. But this is backwards. You must feel wealthy first, then wealth appears. As within, so without. Not as without, so within. Assume the feeling of already having what you desire. Live in the state of the wish fulfilled. Your inner conversations are creating your world right now. What are you saying to yourself about money, about love, about success? Those conversations are hardening into facts. Change the inner conversation and you change the outer reflection. Assume a new state and the mirror must show you that state. This is not theory. This is law. Now, let me tell you the final secret that completes the mirror code. When you master this principle, something unexpected happens. You do not become more controlling. You become more peaceful. You do not become more manipulative. You become more trusting. Because when you know that your inner state creates your outer world, you stop fighting. You stop struggling. You simply become conscious of being what you want to be. You simply assume the state you desire. You simply rest in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And then you watch as the mirror reflects your new face back to you. This is mastery. This is what took Neville 5 years to achieve. Not power over the world, but peace within consciousness. The mirror code is not about controlling reality. It is about realizing you are reality. The journey from understanding to embodiment is the true path of mastery. The mirror code is the key, but you must turn it in the lock of your own awareness. This teaching is an invitation to stop seeking power in the world and to start recognizing it within yourself. Your reality awaits your command. Subscribe to Stories and Quotes B for more timeless wisdom and transformative narratives.